Wow, that was a beautiful game. I love myself a nice and easy, stress free Miami Dolphins victory, man. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Field channel where we speak the truth, we're honest, and we give our takes on the Miami Dolphins. That game was not relatively close, folks. Third down on the first drive of the game, they threw a 78-yard touchdown pass. Tua threw a 78-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, and the Miami Dolphins never look back. They put their foot on the pedal. They didn't take their foot off the throat of the Washington Commanders, even in garbage time. They dominated the run game with Devon Achane. It was great to see him back today. He got himself 2 touchdowns despite injuries, which was the only bad thing about this game. The Miami Dolphins went to Landover, Maryland, went to FedEx Field, and not only took over FedEx Field with the amount of Dolphin fans that were at the game, but they dominated the Washington Commanders from the start. They won this game 45-15, and they're now 9-3. They have reached the same amount of wins they got last year in the 2022 season, and things are looking great for the Miami Dolphins despite the injuries. And I'll talk about these injuries right now just to get them out of the way. Of course, wouldn't you know, Teron Armstead was injured in this game. He came out of the tunnel. He came out of the locker room in the second half, had his helmet on, and was held back from the coaching staff to play. And then Robert Hunt must have re-aggravated the hamstring because he was out for the rest of the game. Lester Cotton was in his place. So that'll be a worry for next week going into Week 14. Teron Armstead is hurt once again. It's not pretty, and it sucks. The guy cannot stay healthy for an entire game. He plays against the Jets, and he goes down with an injury, and he can't play in the second half. And he goes down with injury again against the Washington Commanders, and can't come back in the second half. Now, I guess it will help that the Miami Dolphins are going to have an extra day of rest. So I don't know when their first practice is going to be. I would guess it's still going to be Wednesday, but the Dolphins will have an extra day of preparation as they get set now for Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans, which I'm so pumped about. I will be in Fort Lauderdale, landing in Fort Lauderdale next Sunday, and I'm going to the game. I can't wait. I'm going to be vlogging, all that stuff. It's going to be fantastic. The vlog last year with the Dolphins against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football did huge numbers, and I'm looking forward to it this year. I think we're going to get big numbers again with this game against the Tennessee Titans. But we got to talk about this game first before we talk about the Tennessee Titans game. So I thank you all so much for joining me here today. Be sure to subscribe. I mean, why would you not want to see the vlog next week from Hard Rock Stadium? If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what does. But be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that. And all the coverage we're going to have next week. I don't know what days yet, but I will definitely figure that out of like what days. Probably do the prediction video on Thursday once again, and probably the preview on Friday or Saturday. Probably going to be Friday, though. And I will be out to Miami on Sunday. I leave early Sunday morning around 9:30, and I get into Fort Lauderdale just before kickoff of the 1 o'clock games. And then I'll be hanging out in Miami for a couple days, 2 days. So I'm very, very excited, man. I can't wait. Can't wait to get my ass down at Hard Rock Stadium for the second year in a row. Let's get into some stats here. The Miami Dolphins against the Washington Commanders, 45-15 was your final score today. Tua Tagovailoa 18 for 24, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Miami Dolphins offense had no turnovers today. Mwah. A perfect game, basically, from the Dolphins offense. A 40 burger on the Washington Commanders and no turnovers. You love to see it, man. Devon Achane, he was back today, and he was in full force in the second half of this game. He had 17 carries, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the rookie. Raheem Mostert got himself in the end zone again today. He had 11 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, this guy, scored a 78-yard touchdown and a 60-yard touchdown. He had 5 catches, 157 yards, and 2 touchdowns today. A lot of people debating whether or not he's going to break the record of 2,000 yards. He's now got 12 touchdowns on the season. If I do my math correctly, he's at right now before this game, he was at 1,324 yards. Then he goes to 157. Folks, I believe Tyreek Hill is at 1,481 receiving yards. That's just unbelievable. I don't care who he plays. That's just unbelievable, man. I'm praying he gets the 2,000. That would be so cool. Along with the Dolphins winning games, of course. But, man, the cheetah was loose today. I told you on Friday in the preview that the Dolphins were going to have to take advantage of this terrible secondary of the Washington Commanders. And it looked foggy in the beginning of the game with pictures that I've seen on the internet. It looked pretty foggy there. That did not affect the Miami Dolphins. That did not affect them at all. Tyreek, 2 bombs for a touchdown. Jalen Waddle had 5 catches for 52 yards. Devon Achane had 3 catches for 30 yards. Julian Hill had 2 catches for 23. River Craycraft had 2 catches for 16 yards. You get to the defensive side. Andrew Van Ginkel, pick 6 in the end of the first quarter. Absolutely horrendous throw by Sam Howell. No idea what he was thinking on that play, but hey, that's a gimme pick 6 from the Miami Dolphins. David Long, Brandon Jones, and Andrew Van Ginkel all led the team in tackles with 4. Duke Riley was in the game a lot because of the Jerome Baker injury, which we'll get to when Washington scored their touchdown in the second quarter. Jerome Baker is going to be a big loss. Once again, another big loss for the Miami Dolphins defense, and that's basically the thing that sucks the most coming out of this game is going to be the loss of Jerome Baker. That linebacker depth, the linebacker depth for the Miami Dolphins is on thin ice right now. You're looking at David Long, Duke Riley, and Channing Tindall, and I don't think they're going to be signing Shaq Leonard, because Shaq Leonard came out and said that he's going to be signing between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think he's going back on his decision. So, folks, we're going to have Duke Riley as our starting linebacker for the rest of the season. Get used to it. The team had 3 sacks today. Zach Zealer had a sack and a half. Bradley Chubb had a half a sack. And Emmanuel Ogbah had himself a sack today as well. He's now up to 4.5 sacks on the season. Zach Zealer is up to 6.5 sacks on the year, and Bradley Chubb is up to 6.5 sacks as well for the Miami Dolphins. Then very quickly, we'll go through the Washington Commanders stats. Sam Howell did not have a good game today. 12 for 23, 127 yards, an interception. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, though, so I'll give him that. 4 rushes, 21 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the quarterback from North Carolina. Brian Robinson had 7 carries, 53 yards. Antonio Gibson had 10 carries, 35 yards. And Chris Rodriguez had 7 carries for 29 yards. Dolphins' run defense had a little bit of a struggle today against the Commanders. I'm not going to lie about that one. The Commanders got some pretty good runs today on the Dolphins. Curtis Samuel led the team in receiving with 4 catches for 65 yards. Antonio Gibson had 4 catches for 37 yards. Jahan Dotson, 2 catches for 23 yards. And Terry McLaurin, their top wide receiver, was shut out by Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. Shut out. They don't want to throw to our two cornerbacks, man. They don't want to. They don't want to throw to Jalen Ramsey, and they don't want to throw to Xavier Howard because they don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke. So let's get into this game. The Commanders had the ball first. The Dolphins deferred, as they always do. 3rd and 8 at their own 27. Sam Howell hit Jahan Dotson for a 12-yard catch. Mike McDaniel decided to challenge this. I didn't know why he needed to challenge this in the first minute of the game, but he did, and he lost the challenge, so it was first down for Washington. 2nd down and 5, Antonio Gibson for 9 yards. Then we get to 2nd and 10, Sam Howell to Curtis Samuel for 2 yards on a nice tackle by Brandon Jones. And then 3rd and 8, they brung the blitz. Big Vic Fangio dialed up the blitz, and it was incomplete, attending to their backup tight end, Bates. I'm not sure what his first name is. I apologize. But then the Commanders punt. Dolphins went 3 plays, 86 yards, in a minute and a half. Tua to Jalen Waddle for 5 yards. Raheem Mostert for a 3-yard run. And then Tua deep to Tyreek Hill. He just lobbed it to Tyreek Hill in the perfect spot, and Tyreek Hill was off to the races for a Miami Dolphins touchdown. Once that play happened, the Dolphins kept their foot on the gas pedal, and from here on out in this game, it was all Miami Dolphins in this game. The Commanders went 3 and out on their next drive. 3rd and 7. Sam Howell was sacked by Bradley Chubb and Zach Zeeler, and the Commanders had the punt. The Dolphins went 8 plays for 39 yards. 2nd and 10, Tua on a shovel pass to Devon Achane, or on an end around one of those for 6 yards. And then 3rd and 4, Tua to Jalen Waddle for 16 yards down to the Commanders' 48. Raheem Mostert with a 12-yard run. Raheem Mostert then lost 4 yards, and then Tua on 2nd and 14 had nowhere to go, and he threw it to Alec Ingold for a loss of 3. And on 3rd and 17, Jalen Waddle got the yards back with a catch of 12 yards, and this set up Jason Sanders for a 49-yard field goal, which was good. The Dolphins were up 10-0 over the Washington Commanders. Then both teams went 3 and out. The Commanders went 3 plays, 7 yards. The Dolphins had 3 and out, 3 plays. They lost 13 yards on this drive. Devon Achane run, lost 7 yards, and then a pass to Tyreek Hill, a screen, lost 6 yards. The Commanders then got the ball at their own 38-yard line. Sam Howell threw a screen to Jahan Dotson, or at least was intending to. Andrew Van Ginkel, he read this like a dictionary. Easy interception and an easy touchdown for the Miami Dolphins defense, Andrew Van Ginkel. And he's the replacement for Jalen Phillips. And Andrew Van Ginkel had himself a day, man. He had himself a day for the Miami Dolphins on defense. Then the Commanders, they go 10 plays, 75 yards in the second quarter. The Dolphins were up 17-0. Brian Robinson for 8 yards. Brian Robinson for 7 yards. Sam Howell was sacked by Emmanuel Ogbah. And then Brian Robinson broke off a big run for 29 yards down to the Miami Dolphins' 37-yard line. And then Sam Howell was incomplete to Terry McLaurin. And then on 3rd and 7, Curtis Samuel was lined up in the backfield, and he had a matchup against Jerome Baker. And he absolutely burnt Jerome Baker on this play. And this was a touchdown. And Brandon Jones comes in. He makes the touchdown-saving tackle. But yet, at the same time, he takes out the knee of Jerome Baker. Curtis Samuel was wide open. I understand you're trying to play hard, and you don't want to give up the touchdown. But at this situation, they're going to have the ball at the 1 yard line. I would just let him get in. He ended up hurting Jerome Baker in this case. And now Jerome Baker's out for the season probably. And, he was balling this year on defense with the Vic Fangio-led defense. Jerome Baker was balling, and now it looks like he's going to be out for the season. His leg did not look good on that play. And Brandon Jones came in, and it was a collision with Jerome Baker. And he ended up hurting Jerome Baker on that play. And in that situation, you have to go in and let him score. Just let Curtis Samuel get the touchdown and give the offense the ball back. But we'll see. Probably find out maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, about the status of Jerome Baker. It's not good. And they ruled him out immediately. So, I don't know, man. That's another big loss for the Dolphins defense. Last week, they lost Jalen Phillips for the season. And now this week, they're probably losing Jerome Baker for the season. And it fucking sucks. Your biggest run of the season, and you got defenders going out like flies. Sam Howell was able to run it in for a 1 yard touchdown after he threw a touchdown pass to Dyami Brown, and it was reviewed that the runner did not break the plane. Andrew Van Ginkel had a hand on Dyami Brown, and it was 3rd and goal, and Sam Howell ran it in for a 1 yard touchdown. Then the Dolphins, after the Commanders scored a touchdown, they go 5 plays, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert for 6 yards, Tyreek Hill on an end around for 6 yards and a first down, a short pass to Achane for 3 yards, and then 3rd and 7. Tua, he drops back, and Tyreek Hill is just breaking off his route. And Tua just throws it down the field. And somehow, Tyreek Hill was able to split the 2 defenders. He's all by himself, and he gets a 60-yard touchdown. The man is incredible. He's unbelievable. And he's probably the most electrifying player that I've ever seen wear a Miami Dolphins uniform. And there were chants around FedEx Field chanting MVP, MVP. And I don't know who it was for. If it was for Tua or if it was for Tyreek Hill. I have no idea, man. But at this point, you would be a fool not to include Tyreek Hill in the MVP discussion, because what he's doing this season is absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, I do think he's going to break 2,000 yards this season. The man he's unbelievable. I don't know how else to put it to you. He's unbelievable. So, the Commanders, they get the ball back. 3rd and 3. Sam Howell to Curtis Samuel for 25 yards. And then Sam Howell on 2nd down was sacked by Zach Zeeler. And then on 3rd and 17, Sam Howell threw a screen to Antonio Gibson for a loss of 6. Duke Riley forced a fumble, and it was recovered by Washington. And on this punt by Tress Way, Andrew Van Ginkel came this close to a blocked punt. He nearly blocked Tress Way's punt. So we would have had possibly a pick 6 and a blocked punt in his first game without Jalen Phillips. Again, he was unbelievable today. Andrew Van Ginkel was all over the field. And then, before the end of halftime, the Miami Dolphins, they took up 5.5 minutes off the clock, 11 plays, 76 yards. Raheem Mostert starts to drive off with a 9-yard run. Raheem Mostert then gets a 6-yard run. 2nd and 11, Devon Achane for 5 yards. And on 3rd and 6, Tua finds Tyreek Hill down the middle of the field for 20 yards. And he goes down to the Commanders' 37. 2nd and 7, Jalen Waddle was targeted deep past the Jalen Waddle, and it was a pass interference on the Commanders. Set them up at the 18-yard line. Tyreek Hill ran backwards, and he lost 10 yards on an end around. Tua to Raheem Mostert for 8 yards. And on 3rd and 12, the Miami Dolphins pick up another third down conversion, middle of the field, to Jalen Waddle for 16 yards. And then 2 plays later, Raheem Mostert, 1-yard touchdown. Your Miami Dolphins are up 31-7 over the Washington Commanders at halftime. And going into the week, we are reading stats. We were comparing stats for the Commanders' defense. And what their stats say is they're one of the worst defenses in football. And today, they stand correct. Their defense is trash. Now, that doesn't mean we have to discredit the performance of Tua Tagovailoa because I'm tired. I'm tired of that. Sorry about that. I'm tired of it. And if I can find the tweet, it was from Louis Riddick. He was replying to someone in his comments. And this guy said, I'm not going to say a name. This guy said, I love Tua and the Dolphins, but let's brag if he can do this against the Cowboys. The Commanders are terrible. And then Louis Riddick comes out, and I absolutely agree with him. And he says one of the worst things that is done now is blanket devaluation of player or team performance when it comes against competition that isn't the very best of the best. There is a world in sports where recognizing quality, skill, and execution should be able to be accomplished without having to immediately go to the, well, look who it was against attack. It gets tired. I agree. And it should be. We should acknowledge how awesome the Dolphins' offense was today. We should be able to acknowledge how unbelievable and how insane it is that Tyreek Hill can get open at any point in the game. And I'm not going to sit here and say the Washington Commanders are a good team because clearly they're not. But what I am going to say is we shouldn't be sitting here and saying, oh, Tyreek, who cares about his performance today? Who cares that the Miami Dolphins put up 45 points today? The Commanders are trash. No, man. I'm going to acknowledge that, wow, this team had an offensive explosion today, and they've been struggling the past couple weeks with turnovers, even though they put up 34 points on one of the best offenses in the NFL. Am I going to sit here and say, oh, well, the Dolphins played the Commanders today, and even though they put up 45 points, I don't care because they were playing the Washington Commanders? Hell no. Absolutely not. I'm not going to sit here. You don't see analysts on ESPN. This is just an example. You don't see analysts break down Patrick Mahomes' 300-yard performance in a 41-10 win over the Chicago Bears and be like, oh, who cares if he put up 41 points on the Chicago Bears? They're the Chicago Bears. They would never do that to Patrick Mahomes. Fans would never do that to Patrick Mahomes. Analysts would never do that to Patrick Mahomes. And that's not a shot at Patrick Mahomes. That's an example. So we should be able to sit here and be like, wow, this Dolphins offense, man. Good Lord. They were on point today. So that's my mini rant. My mini rant of this episode is, even though the Commanders aren't a good team, we should be acknowledging, as Dolphin fans and football fans, how good they were today. 1st and 10. In the second half, the Dolphins started off with the ball. Raheem Mostert for a 5-yard run. Raheem Mostert for a 3-yard run. 3rd and 2, Tua to Tyreek Hill for 5 yards and a first down. Tua, on a screen pass to Devon Achane, went 21 yards down to the Commanders' 41-yard line. Achane with a 3-yard run. Tua to River Craycraft for 13 yards. Tua to Jalen Waddle for 3 yards. And I love this play so much. 2nd and 7 at the Washington 22. Washington was bringing the pressure. Linebacker Cody Barton was coming to get Tua. And Tua gave him the old shimmy shake, move over to the left, and hit Julian Hill right in the middle of the field. It was a thing of beauty. Mwah! A thing of beauty from my quarterback, man. I'm so happy we got a franchise quarterback. Oh! And then Devon Achane, the next play, runs in for a 4-yard touchdown. And basically, at that point in the game, that's all she wrote. The Miami Dolphins took a 38-7 lead, and that was pretty much the end of the game, man. That was pretty much the end of the game for the Washington Commanders. They go down in the next drive. They go 9 plays, 75 yards in 5 minutes. Sam Howell on a deep pass to Antonio Gibson was completed for 32 yards. Antonio Gibson for a 2-yard run. Then Chris Rodriguez got in on the action with a 4-yard run. And Sam Howell completed a pass to Jahan Dotson for 11 yards down to the Miami 20. On 3rd and 8, Sam Howell to Antonio Gibson for 5 yards. And then on 4th and 3, the pressure was coming. Sam Howell was able to get away with it and scramble into the end zone for a 13-yard touchdown run. And the Commanders converted on a 2-point conversion. Credit to the kid there. That was a nice play. It was a nice play from Sam Howell. And then basically, I'm just going to run through the rest of the game, basically what happened. I'm not going to go over most of the plays. The Dolphins went 3 and out. 3 plays, minus 2 yards. The Commanders, they went 7 plays, 24 yards. They ended up missing a 53-yard field goal. Why Ron Rivera is kicking field goals down 23 points, I have no god-earthly idea. He is going to be fired at the end of the season. I have full confidence in that he's going to be one of the coaches fired at the end of the season, and he will no longer be the head coach of the Washington Commanders. Chris Rodriguez got a 15-yard run on 3rd and 3. Then on 3rd and 10, Sam Howell on a 2-yard run. Joey Slye missed a 53-yard field goal. That's what you get for kicking field goals down 23 points, Ron Rivera. Dolphins go 5 plays, 17 yards, and punt. Mike White came in the game at this point, I think. Oh, no, Tua was still in. The Commanders go 3 and out. Then Mike White came in the game to quarterback for the Dolphins, and this was the Devon Achane drive to end this one. Devon Achane for 6 yards. Devon Achane for 6 yards again. Devon Achane for 2 yards. Devon Achane for 7 yards. Devon Achane for 15 yards. Devon Achane for 5 yards. Jeff Wilson got in on the action for 2 plays. 3 plays, 4th down, conversion, 1st down. Devon Achane for 2 yards. And then 4th and goal at the 2. Devon Achane for a 2-yard touchdown. And that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. The Miami Dolphins bulldozed through the Washington Commanders at FedEx Field, 45-15. This game wasn't even close. Again, after that 78-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins kept all the control of this game. They controlled the entire game the whole rest of the way. They had 31 points at halftime. Realistically, the game was over then. It was over by halftime, and we were just trying to get out of this game injury-free. There's going to be questions for injuries now. Teron Armstead and Robert Hunt left games with injury, and obviously the big one today was Jerome Baker in that collision with Brendan Jones when Brendan Jones tried to save the touchdown. But, yeah, man, it seems like we're going to be losing Jerome Baker for the season, which really sucks because Jalen Phillips went down last week, and now this week it's Jerome Baker going down with a big injury. So, but celebrate this one. This is a big win. The Dolphins are 9-3. They matched the same amount of wins they had last year. They went on a 5-game losing skid in December, and they start out December with a bang this year with a 45-15 win over the Washington Commanders. And now The Miami Dolphins, last year, they had 3 straight games on the road. This year, they're going to have 3 straight games at Hard Rock Stadium. And it's going to start next Monday night against the Tennessee Titans. I leave for Fort Lauderdale on Sunday. I will be there on Sunday. Obviously, Monday I'll be hanging out in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. And be heading to the game Monday night at Hard Rock Stadium. Let's go, man. Big game Monday night against those Tennessee Titans. And really quickly, before I get out of here, I'm just going to check some scores real quick to see what happened. The Texans pulled one out on the Broncos, 22-17. The Jets lost 13-8 to the Falcons. Poverty, man. Poverty. Let's see. Trevor Siemian came in at quarterback, and man, poverty franchise, man, poverty. The Lions beat the Saints, good for them, and the Titans are about to lose in overtime to the Indianapolis Colts. They're currently up 28-25, but they're going to give up a game-winning touchdown in just a matter of moments. And the Titans, it seems like they're going to be coming off a loss going into this game Monday night against the Miami Dolphins. But, guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Fuel channel, man. We'll be back with with maybe another video. I don't know. It seems like here and there I come in with surprise videos when I don't seem like it's going to happen. But, yeah, man, I'm excited. Next Monday night against the Tennessee Titans should be fun, man. It should be fun. Subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss the vlog next Monday night. Comment down below your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins win over the Commanders. 45-15. That's what I call a good old ass whooping. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. And follow me on Twitter at Conlon_Joseph. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy, man. And I'm out. Peace. Fins up.